Okay, so now we will take a look at the controller. First time off comes with batteries, thank goodness. I thought I just dropped something really important, so don't get scared if you hear something fall out. Looks like it takes standard AA batteries. Not sure why they don't include the actual charger with it, but what I have done here is, well, here we are. But I've also included my Xbox, the newest Xbox system controller, and my Project Scorpio controller for being like a day one purchase, or the original Xbox X, and we will compare these right now in just a moment. So I will say that looking across the controllers, I'm not going to confuse anybody, so really these two are very comparable. The only addition is, of course, this is black, this is white, and has Project Scorpio down the middle. So I'm going to actually move the Project Scorpio controller out because that was more of a limited edition. Some of you may or may not actually have that, and I would like to kind of compare it to more of the traditional Xbox One X controller, or at least the version that I have, the white one. I had the original one, but then I got the every iteration of it because I wanted the 4K and so forth. So, picking up the controller, I can say they feel very comparable. Actually, maybe it's because the batteries aren't in there, but I do find that this is actually lighter. So we'll take a look here and examine a few things here in a moment. So first, we will take a look at the colors. Obviously, this is white, this is black, but it doesn't vary much, actually. We see that the underside of both of these are almost identical. It uses this kind of connector cord. The headphone jacks are exactly the same. They are a very comparable size. This is almost like an identical controller. So I did not purchase another extra controller to go with it because I have come to understand that the Xbox Series X controllers, the system is comparable and is compatible with the older Xbox controller. So looking at this at first hand, I really don't see a need to have to get it. However, that may change as we look at the front. So with the front of our controllers here, they again look very comparable. Kind of messing with the Xbox Series X controller, the joystick feels very identical. I think this is literally a duplicate, guys, of the actual controller. The directional pad does feel a little bit more snappier and responsive. The original Xbox controller is a little bit looser. That could have something to do with the way that it looks like it's made. So with the original Xbox controller, we actually had a directional pad, and it was very designated, like up, left, right, down, embedded within this circle here. And so we see that, it basically can kind of click and go around in that order, or any other order that you want to do, the reverse, clockwise, whatever. If you're playing Mortal Kombat or classic, Street Fighter, up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right. A, B star. OG codes. So we have here, nonetheless, the actual joystick is a lot different. Again, it being snappier, but we see that it's not designated ups and downs. It looks like it's almost like this folded cube, this origami kind of cube, where it simply just fits very nicely in the thumb. So I will say that the indentation is slightly deeper, and it does allow better movement. The YXBA is identical to the original controller, color and everything. Nothing looks different whatsoever, even the back color of the buttons themselves. And we even see that the Xbox emblem are very comparable. So, in the Xbox One X, we see it's just the white here. But again, if we look at the Project Scorpio, we see that the emblem is almost identical. I don't really see much of a difference. I do. So the black that's in this Xbox controller, the Project Scorpio controller, is truly black, versus this one appears to be the same color as the actual controller itself. So the circle part of this is a dark black, and the actual X portion is the same color, so lighter black, if you will. Now, if we compare the buttons on the top, this is where we see the only really significant difference I see. It looks like a share button. So there's like this button here with an arrow that goes up, almost like a more flatter version of the iOS iPhone, share button with the arrow that goes up. And we have that here in the center. So we see that this is noticeably more absent, present here. So we have it present here, absent here. But we do see that even the design of the 3 horizontal lines and the 2 squares are identical. It looks like this is a little bit more shinier and glossier. This is a little bit more like a matte finish. The actual controller itself feels equally smooth, very comparable. I will say, picking it up, that the I think that there's more of a grip. So on the actual Xbox One X, there's a fine kind of grip that you can feel where the texture feels different where your palm and hands grasp. It's noticeably more grippier here, and so it feels almost like what I'd imagine Spider-Man's costume looks like. The texture is clearly that grips your hand. So I do like the way that feels back there, though for some pretty long gaming, if we're kind of moving it around, I could imagine that it may cause some abrasion on the hands or the palms, but we won't know until we really try. At the very top, and actually again we can kind of see again this more scaly fabric look like Spider-Man's costume, more smoother but subtle in there here. A horizontal slant line there, equal here, forgive me. This is a charger cable that I have because I just don't understand why the Xbox continues to release controllers that uses AA batteries instead of just them being rechargeable. So this is an aftermarket off manufacturer. It's made by Energizer, and it's done me well for the years that I've had my Xbox. And I will likely get one for this as well. I just don't want to spend this ridiculous expensive Microsoft cost in order to buy something that most other controllers do out of the box. So, I understand it's money. Hey, take it or leave it, right? But it does nicely come with some AA batteries. And so we have here that the actual connector port at the very top, if we take a look, is different. So it looks like this is a standard, I can't remember, but it looks like it's a standard micro USB maybe, versus the transformation to USB-C. So we also have here the connector button to connect it to the console, located in an identical position to the actual original Xbox One X. And the actual One X has more glossier, silver, kind of reflective look to the actual buttons, but it has its standard right trigger, left trigger, and again the bumpers, the right bumper and the left bumper, all shiny. But in the new console, we see that they are not. They are again the same finish as the controller as itself, you can see again that Spider-Man kind of scaly matte feeling on the actual triggers, and on the bumper we do not have that. I would have maybe liked to have seen that on the bumper as well, but maybe it's to kind of differentiate texturally differences that are there. So it's a much more smoother, from what I can recall. It's like no clicking, it's just a natural glide, so I'd imagine for pressure sensitive things it'll be easier to execute some of those movements. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it on here, it's pretty comparable. So yeah, I don't see that there is no difference. Really never paid that much attention to the original Xbox controller, so no changes there. And in the bumpers, there's those snappy clicks that we hear, so I must have been mixing those up. So those are very responsive and very snappy. And I feel them overall comparable. It seems to be a little bit more movement in this one, so a little bit looser, a little tighter here. Could just be because of many years of use. Who knows? And that, I think, about does it in terms of the actual controllers themselves.